NAGB's Blank Canvas, the show in which we speak about visual culture and creative community. Blank Canvas airs every Wednesday night at 6:30 on Guardian Talk Radio 96.9. On Blank Canvas, we meet cultural practitioners from the creative community here in Nassau, Bahamas, and also internationally. Bahamians from all around the world doing amazing things in the cultural scene. Tune in to NAGB's Blank Canvas to hear about what's happening at your institution and around the Bahamas. Every Wednesday night at 6:30 on Guardian Talk Radio 96.9.
There comes a time when the game tolerates no spectators, only players. There comes a time when we must recognize that our individual aspirations shape our collective destiny. There comes a time when getting in the game, despite the risks, despite the challenges, regardless of the cost, is simply the right thing to do. There comes a time when we must find our hearts, find our soul, and pursue our purpose for the greater good of all, for country, for humanity. There comes a time when we must manifest our true greatness. Yes, there comes a time, and that time is now. So let's get down to the essentials. The essentials. Serious radio for serious people committed to advancing the national conversation.
The Essentials with Hubert Edwards, Thursday nights live at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and up. You believe in how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward. Never accept less than who you are.
Back with Nahaja Black is sponsored by Atlantis Paradise Islands, the Ministry of Health, Fidelity Bank Bahamas, Cable Bahamas, Rev Christmas, AML Foods Limited, Awak X, and SMG Caribbean.
With Nahaja Black, it's started back with Nahaja Black.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It is a beautiful day here in the 242. Hope that you're doing well, taking care of yourself, and living your best life today. I think I have some sort of delay going on my side. Arlie, let me know if the audio is clear in studio. I hope everybody's doing well today. Everyone is taking care of themselves. We got a good show for you. I'm looking forward to this show today. Really talking about something that's cultural in its opinion, right? Okay, everything sounds perfect there on his end. Someone says they come in, the valley, they come in. Boy, I need something to happen with Junkanoo. I need to know what's going on. So the day is a very interesting day. I had to pick myself up, I had to pick myself up today, though, because the little person that I have gave me the cold. He's now effectively infecting the house with this cold, right? And it's cold season. We know it's flu and cold season. But we gotta watch out for these little people. They keep on bringing their special germs, and this is the time of COVID. So you can't have a sniffle. All of a sudden, you got the ting, and it ain't even HIV no more. It is COVID. All of a sudden now, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to everyone. Grand Bahama, I see you. Abaco, Long Island, Cat Island, Andres, Inagua. Inagua? Hold on. I might be making that one up. I don't think I ever had anybody from Inagua. Valley on nothing, folks. So we're talking about Junkanoo today. Is it possible for us to have Junkanoo this year? Is it possible for Junkanoo to be back? I was looking at the last rush out, which was in 2020. And so that was something else, you realizing that the last time we had Junkanoo was New Year's 2020, before we closed down in March, before COVID-19 became the thing. Yeah, became our thing, the world's thing. So we're going to discuss that. And I'm looking forward to that discussion. We're going to have a friend of mine, Trevor Davis, will be joining us to talk about such. And we're going to find out, can we do Junkanoo? I would love to see Junkanoo back this year. How do we do Junkanoo? Do we lose this thing? This is a staple. How long have we been doing it? And is there a way that we can do this and do entertainment and find ourselves back on a track for success? So those are those things that are important. How do we get back to some semblance of normalcy. So those are things that are important. But before we get to that, of course, I don't know if you've heard, someone says, I don't know if you guys have heard, one family, it's too late for costumes. Yeah. It is too late for costumes. So then it has to be something else, right? Something else. And maybe it's not competition year. This isn't the year to compete. Maybe we do something different, right? Something that can probably be good for our soul. Someone says, I won't put a Junkanoo CD. Yeah. Well, you could do that, Norman. We could talk about that too. But then there's something that happened today. And that some things are reminders, y'all. I won't lie to y'all. Some things just hit me hard some days where I'm like, how is this us? And I ask that question a lot. Is this us? Y'all know CA says this is the best we can be. I don't believe that. And I think that's where my frustration comes in. My frustration comes in the understanding of our potential, right? Who we are. The understanding of the Bahamian potential, the understanding of our children, or the belief in the children, our children's potential, the belief in you and I and our brothers and our sisters that we are better than the station we exist in today, right? That those things matter to me, that we exist more. Where we are is not an indication of who we are. But some days I'm struggling with, is this really who we are? Can we not break through or break free? So if you haven't, been keeping up, if you missed it today, and people have real life, right? So if you haven't heard the news, then this is what you come and listen to the show for at 4:00. What is going on what happened this morning in Bimini? And it is a viral video, and I won't show the video because, of course, out of respect for whomever the family member is. But the internet is just rimming over with the fact that there was a cold-blooded murder that happened this morning in Bimini. And this is not, we have cold-blooded, and this is where it gets sad to me, because I have to say, we have cold-blooded murders all the time in this country. Seeming ability to walk up to someone and shoot them, and in a place where we're so small, meaning that the person that you kill, you know you're going to run into their family, you know you're going to run into their neighbors. So we don't care about all of that, because there is an eye for an eye, a vengeance. There is a quick fix of rage that equates in the death of someone. So this morning in Bimini, there seemed to have been an altercation. Now, the story goes that it was a love affair, a love triangle that led to violence, and a love triangle between some gentlemen. This is what is being shared in Bimini, and blah, blah, blah. But if you saw the video, you would see that how the video starts is a gentleman had apparently seemingly punched a fellow down, a bigger fellow, a more robust, rotund individual, and said, "You're going to learn to respect me." I think that's the words I heard. "You're going to learn to respect me." And the guy who got knocked down got up and went to his friend, who turned around and raised up his shirt, which we later found out was to give him access to a gun. And in the broad daylight of a new day today, the young man pulled up a gun, and you hear the gentleman who would end up being the victim say, "Why? Why?" Right? Scream, "Why?" And as he's screaming, "Why?" the young man who decided getting knocked down by a punch, he wasn't being pummeled when he got knocked down. He got knocked down with a punch. And his response was to plain sight, pull the trigger, take the gun, and shoot right point blank at this individual. And you saw the man jump, and he's screaming, "Why?" Pop, "Why?" Pop. He does it again, and you can see where he shoots him and aims high, because you see where you see blood, and the young man, the gentleman who's now being shot, he runs off. He tries to escape. But this fellow wasn't satisfied that the man had the ability to escape, because I think escape was not in his mind. Death was the only thing he saw. "You will die today." And he ran behind the fellow, and he fired off another shot, 4 shots. Images show that the gentleman was taken and airlifted, we are told, to Nassau. I have no other update apart from that. But 4 direct shots this morning at one human being. This is, and someone says that it was a relative who gave him the gun. So So this, it was the crazy thing was the prime minister was in Bimini today, right? The prime minister was in Bimini trying to do some sort of dignitary, some diplomatic thingy, majiggy. And then this day when he goes to Bimini, it's the morning when the rest of the Bahamas, sees this level of violence. And you see where I am traumatized by it, because today was a day of trauma videos. I feel like, right? We've had a week of trauma videos. This level of violence we saw with the whole domestic issue. And then you see this video today, and then there's another one of a football player just totally try to destroy his baby's mama, who they're not together, but apparently it was that kind of day for him. What saddens me with this is that not just that there was no interest. How a fist fight goes to take a gun and shoot you dead. Like we have no ceiling here. We have no line here. The fist fight moves to you will die. The me getting knocked down and embarrassed, I didn't win the fight, requires that you die. And not that it requires you die, it requires that I ensure that you will die today in this moment. There's no capture, nothing that clicks that you are now, someone says bloodthirsty, right? Your eyes are red, that you can't see. It's a snapping, and in that moment, that crime of passion, right? And the level of gruesome violence is what has me thrown, y'all. But violence in our country is not new. And I wonder why it's even more, because I think about this, and there's a reason why, and forgive me, I'm rambling, because see, I can't, my thoughts and my heart, everything is interconnected. And so it's difficult for me to give you a very logical, linear discussion on this, because there's also pain in this. The pain in the realization that this is us doing this to us. There is no need to take a knee and say Black Lives Matter. There's no boogeyman. There ain't no white knights killing us off in the streets. You feel me? I could go and say, oh, well, it's poverty. But our parents weren't rich, but we were civil. Money doesn't create character. So it isn't about economics. It's about emotional intelligence. Have we been rearing animals? Are we so socially broken that there is no such thing as resolution? What is happening to us? That's where I'm stuck, Where I'm stuck is what is happening to us. And now, because that is the cry and the question. And now the next thing is, now how do we fix us? Because it's us, it's not them. Anyone who believes that they're living behind the gates and they're safe, crime is coming your way. Ain't no money that can keep you safe. There's no money that can keep you safe. You could raise a good son. Y'all hear me? So in the States, Black people are afraid of, I raise my good boy. I give him he gets a great education. He's riding down the highway. A police stops him. And no matter how he tries to de-escalate, they're afraid that he'll get killed by a police officer at a stop. Anyone remembers that beautiful teacher who died at the stoplight? Anyone remembers shortly thereafter the grandfather on the morning of his grandchild's christening going to the ATM but never making it to the church? It doesn't matter how good you are, if the society is broken, then trouble will befall us. And you see, to me, it's bigger than money. You use the money to create the programs. Use the money to get more healing, mental health training, more de-escalation techniques and tactics. You use the money to curb gambling addiction and alcoholism. You use the money. You use the money to build structures in society, but the money can't heal brokenness. And so now we have, y'all, listen, I don't know how you sleep after seeing that video. It fuels, if you want to leave, videos like these the past few days fuels your position that this is where, living as animals, as if we're trapped in the cage and you are my enemy. So I wonder at what point, and listen, the stories that are coming out saying it's a love triangle. It's a love triangle, and this love triangle has escalated to the death of some. So well, we don't know. Sorry, not death, violence. I'm not certain of the outcome of the gentleman, and we're praying that he will, recover. Just as we're praying that the lady who suffered violence at the hands of her spouse will recover, as we are praying for the family of baby Bella, that their hearts will recover, as we're praying for the mother of EJ, who's still trying to recover. There's tons of people mourning today. The little girl who watched her mother and her sister die. We pray for all of them because there's a lot of pain. There are parents still asking for justice for their children. But in this time and space, there has to be more to us than this. There has to be more to us than this. Now, how do we speak to that more? How do we connect to the more? How do we talk to the young men? There has to be a national program that is aimed towards the men on the street. Brothers ain't afraid to talk, I remember I was working with the Marijuana Council, Marijuana Commission. And working with the Marijuana Commission, we had to do door to door. I walked door to door in Elizabeth Estates at a certain point, and brothers had no problem talking about marijuana use. Right? Now, I don't know if they're willing to talk about other things, but how can we get brothers, young men to talk? Where do we capture them? How do we get guns off the streets? Has there been any true investigation? How is it so commonplace to have a handgun? We don't manufacture them. So how are they getting in country? When are you going to make those stings in guns? Who's producing? Who's creating the avenues by which weapons like these are in the country? Jason said it's not as easy, and I agree. It's not easy to resolve these issues, and that's why it must be a long-standing issue that calls on us. I believe that if there's a clarion call and a step in a program that says, listen, we need parents, hear me, communities, hear me, at 4:00 every day, we need you to get all your children into these groups and these clubs. Communities, each community, each constituency has X amount of dollars to create or help utilize or build up youth programs. We need to get our children out of idle work. We need them not to be idle, not just to be on devices. So we need to give them opportunities to grow and learn, create robotics clubs, all of these things that are costly. Let's incentivize, let's make them free, and have the community. If you see a child that's not there, someplace that's out toward, you say, hey, listen, I call and say, listen, we have a young man, a little boy who's 11, 12, and he's not where he should be. It's 4:15. There's a national call for youth involvement until 6 p.m. Right? That's it. National Youth Service. Right? And we put them into things because now we're trying to save a nation, and saving things is uncomfortable. Doing great things is an uncomfortable process. You will never be great in comfort. You will never acquire greatness in comfort. Some things got to be uncomfortable. And so if it means uncomfortable that, hey, this little boy is going to kick and scream, we understand that there's a particular place I have for young men and young girls who kick and scream. But we're going to love them to life. See, I said, I don't necessarily believe in tough love, I believe that when kids act out, they're acting out because they're needing something. Yeah, kids are idle, children do weird things. But that's the foolishness is bound up in the hearts of the child. We need to do something where we love children to life and we understand. And that's why mental health professionals, more child psychologists, we need to be a country that realizes that we're broken and initiate more resources and then call on the Bahamian people. If each one of us can donate $1, those who can per month, if that's all it requires. But let's say those who can do more, $10 a month towards youth program building. And we get to see where our money is being spent. And then you call on the Bahamian public and say, listen, we have in your community, in Elizabeth Estates constituency, we have 3 or 4 youth clubs. We need community involvement and volunteers. We need them from this time. The library is going to be open, and every community is going to have a competition. Every community is going to have a Junkanoo competition with young people. We're going to have a community Junkanoo parade, right? Something that gets us involved. And now there is, because, Bahamas, we like to compete. We got this competitive juices in us. And I think that there's a level of idleness, because when folks reach their max ceiling, then they don't know what to do. We get complacent. We rebel against the system. But when you see in broad daylight, we're killing each other over issues that could be resolved, that we could walk away, we have crossed a line of reprobate minds. But this line has been going on. We found 2 women, I think it was 2 women or a young woman, buried in the beach out in Abaco at some point in recent memory. We got some craziness going on in this country. And because you're comfortable, we ignore it. Because we're comfortable, we ignore it. But our comfort won't last long because there's not enough space in the Bahamas for you to run away from this. We are landlocked. And they tell us that the land is receding due to global warming. So we all going to be in the inner city at some point. So how are we going to fix this? It has to be something where we are called to service and come together as one, coming up with a national plan. Someone says growing up, we had chores. There was no time to be idle. These parents need to give them chores. And we go back to parents. There are some parents who are still stuck in childhood. Some parents are so mentally stressed, so emotionally stressed that their children, they don't even see. So now how do we help parents to be awake and cognizant? Because parenting ain't easy. Being a good parent is an intentional thing. You don't just wake up and be a good parent. You're intentional with it. It doesn't mean you're perfect with it, but it means that you're intentional with it. That means when your child calls you and you know they're going to tell you a story, it make no sense. No sense at all. You almost certain this ain't even a sense. This could start off talking about and somehow we end up in Zimbabwe on the moon, but somehow you're supposed to stop what you're doing and listen to this nonsensical story. My baby girl, just for the record, she ain't listening because we ain't pick her from school. Daddy went to go pick her up. My baby wants to be the next Ariana Grande, right? But listen here. When she sings, she sounds like she's a cross between Tig and Piglet. I ain't lying. She's a cross between Tigger and Piglet. What am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do with that, y'all? Y'all tell me, how am I supposed to be a good parent when my daughter is a cross between Tigger and Piglet when she sings? Huh? I hear y'all. Some of y'all say, well, Nahaja, be a good parent and do music lessons. But my good parent, which was my mom, would say, Nahaja, this child can't sing. You go waste your good Christian money on music lessons? When did you become Caucasian? Huh? But now I got to be a good parent, right? I got to be a good parent. I'm supposed to support her. Y'all can laugh. Laugh all you want. The child sound rough. And she always be like, Mommy, listen. And I got to listen. But this is intentional parenting. But we have to pray. And we have to do more than pray. Now, after you didn't pray, after you didn't calling all brothers, show up, man. We got to show up for our young men and our young women. And then we got to show up for our neighbors. Just ask your neighbor, how's she doing today? How are you doing today? And this is the sisters. Sisters, just because a brother asks how you doing, don't mean that he's interested in you. Not every fella is a need to woo. Why am I saying that? Because I want my brothers to be the keeper. But some of y'all gonna lose focus when the brother says hello. Keep you lonely to yourself. I did a whole show on lonely but not alone. Someone says she'll grow out of it, I'm sure. Man, she need to grow out of it soon because she always tell people as a ma. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. I don't know. This violence in country is a hot mess. It's very concerning. When we come back, let's switch gears a bit because I want to talk about culture. God knows, I don't know if the culture where we are now, what I'm seeing with this violence, if this is really us, I don't know. I guess it is, because this is us. This is what we do. But can we have Junkanoo? Can we have some form of Junkanoo and vibrancy? You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We'll be back right after this.
Working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Rev customers already get more channels, more sports, and more speed. Now, we're giving more Christmas with up to $250,000 in cash and prizes. Sign up or upgrade to Rev Trio to win prizes like rent and mortgage payments, trips to see your favorite sports teams, plus up to $20,000 in our Rev Cash Vault. Want to win more Christmas? Call 601-8992 today and ask for Rev Trio. Rev, you and us together.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. So I want to bring my friend on here, the one and only, because we're talking now about, we're going to switch gears. Someone said, but for the record, someone said, Nahaja, that's what auto-tune is for. Yo, auto-tune. My baby with auto-tune. Trevor Davis joining me on the show. Trevor, welcome, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Nahaja?
I can't complain. It's good to have you on the Hit Back. Alpha Sounds himself. It's good to have you on the show. All right, Trevor. So this is the thing, right? You and I, well, you know, when you and I chat, you love to talk about Bahamian culture, in particular, Junkanoo, right? You're a Junkanoo man. And you're also an entertainment fellow, right? So you're the guy who also does a lot of entertainment, a lot of events, etc. I want to ask you right now, I think you did something recently, a recent event. I want to ask you this from an entertainment side before we get to Junkanoo. Can we in the Bahamas get back to doing entertainment events in a COVID world?
And my humble personal opinion, yes. Why can't we? If you look at, we love to compare ourselves to the place we love to visit the most. That's America, Florida, our next door neighbor. And if you look at what they're doing in America, all the football stadiums are open, all the basketball stadiums are open, but you have protocols. You have COVID protocols. So once you follow the COVID protocols, I see no reason why we shouldn't get back to what we call a new norm. We can't continue to hide and say COVID. It's already been here almost 2 years. We know what it is. As adults and even as kids, we ought to know what we ought to do to keep safe during these times until we eradicate the pandemic. I just listened to the commercial when you went to the break, how important it is to be vaccinated and the reason why you should be vaccinated. So I don't think we should continue to be in the shell and be afraid. I think we ought to do what we need to do and come out and deal with what we have. Follow the rules, follow the protocols, and let's go on and try and make the best out of what we have left as life.
Yeah. And what in terms of industry, right? One of the things in terms of the industry, entertainment industry, what have you found has been the impact of COVID-19 on our entertainment industry in country?
Well, I wouldn't even talk about in the country. Let's talk global. And I'm sure, yes, the event you're talking about was called the Bubble. That was last weekend. That event came about because of COVID. That event was started in the United States by some of my friends in the industry, and they took the Bubble everywhere. They took it to Orlando, they took it to New York, they took it to ATL. And when I got the call about bringing the Bubble here to Nassau, I was like, okay, why wouldn't it work? If you guys are able and willing to fill up the Breezes Hotel, book all the hotel rooms, and have people fly down here to come to an event, which is called a Bubble, that alone should tell persons that you have to stop, pivot, and adapt to what's going on.
Mm.
Okay, so you can still carry on with events once you follow the protocols. Now here in the Bahamas, everything came to complete stop. Um, and I understood the first year you was trying to figure out what was going on, how to deal with it. But once you figure out what is going on, how to deal with it, what causes the spread, and knowing that person, and you have to be infected to infect somebody else, and two, the chances of you being outdoors, even lessened. So why not do
Oh, did we
the
lose?
right the correct protocols and move back to some normalcy? And so, with that being said, I hope and trust that they would have take a sample of the page that what happened on the weekend with the Bubble, where we followed all protocols. We did on-site testing. So even before you even come into the venue, you come extra half hour just to be tested. And so if you
Mhm.
take a test before you go into the venue, that means the chances are very low that you're gonna spread what you don't have. You can't spread what you don't have.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though, because you guys came under, if you're just tuning in, King Alpha here, Trevor Davis joining us on the show. Um, with your event, you came under fire because the videos that went about showed hundreds of people not wearing masks. And of course, I've spoken to a few who were there. They were happy that it happened. But then a lot of Bahamians were like, well, this is COVID waiting to happen. How do you view, and you mentioned it, that the event itself, you guys had protocols, but what do you say to those who said that, listen, this is still very much a time when you shouldn't be doing things like this?
Okay, but first of all, I want everybody to look at that video closely and look at, as Bahamians, and I have to say it, as African American Black people, as colonialism, we just try to take the negative of everything. How much persons stop and look and see how much of those persons flew in? 75% of the persons you saw on that video were actually visitors. They were
Wow. Yes.
people who flew into the Bahamas, and so they're the same people that you would have bucked into the fish fry, the same people you would have bucked into in the casino or in a nightclub or anywhere else throughout while they would have been here on their stay.
Wow.
They have to be tested before they even come to the Bahamas because they had to get a travel visa.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, and so there were persons who were tested, and we were outside. Now I'm not justifying the fact that they didn't have on a mask. But if you're saying that persons should not party on the outside, and it's mandatory that you just get tests and you still wear a mask, that's their personal choice. They know the rules and regulations that you were supposed to have a mask on. And as adults, if they choose to take their mask off to drink or have something to eat, you can't. I mean, that happens all the time when you go into a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, we know you could go in your restaurant right now, fully vaccinated, and you can take off your mask to eat or drink. And this was outdoors, so which is supposedly, hopefully lessening the spread of it. We eat indoors right now, fully vaccinated, but I don't have to take a test when I eat indoor at a restaurant right when I enter. So I think that's a difference. I definitely don't see how we can be as irate. I think where the concern came in, though, was the amount of people. And we're not accustomed to seeing that amount of people anymore. Even the protocols with funerals are less people, right? So we have less people at funerals than we normally had before. We have less people at weddings than we normally had before. And then folks are seeing an event where we're seeing hundreds of people packed together and wondering, and I wonder what you would say to that, hey, do you think, King Alpha, that we can have more people at funerals and events if they're vaccinated or having tests?
Yes, most definitely. The testing is the way to go. We already prove it that testing is the way to go. That was the big thing. If you remember last year, this time, the opposition was saying, let's do more testing. The only way you could know if persons are infected, the only way you can know if persons willing to come forward and say they do have COVID, if the testing was free. And so what we did at that event, once you would have purchased the ticket includes your testing. And so there was no way, even if you had, even if you was even if you was vaccinated, we still required you to take a test because we don't want it to be biased, and we don't want to say, well, because I'm not vaccinated and you're vaccinated, you have a privilege and I don't have a privilege. So we tested every single person.
And in terms of the event itself, let's talk about that from a business perspective, right? Because of course, now we're, an event like this, we're looking for revenue, right? And in the Bahamas, everything, we're looking for revenue. I know, I think it was Bahama was it Bahama having John Legend here for a concert recently? So there was this need to get back to business, right?
Yes, most
definitely. As a business owner, right? And your business is in this entertainment industry. Yeah. How did you view this as a successful? Did you view the event as a successful event? And how did you get that 75%, international guest list?
Okay, so again, the event was definitely a success, and you could easily call up Breezes or talk to one of the staffs who told you they went from a 2 or 3 day work week to a full 7 day work week. We were able to sell 175 rooms, a minimum of 2 persons in a room at Breezes for that event. And this is something that I've been talking. This ain't nothing new to me. This is something I've been trying to do for many years, and something I was trying to get other persons to understand that there is a new way of getting heads in beds. Stop looking at the old model. The old models don't work. This is the new model. The new model is networking. I network with my team. Like I said, they did all the international bookings, and they got the person there. So on my side, me personally, be honest with you, I didn't even have to reach out and have communication. They did all of that. They organized the persons coming here. My job was just to put on the events when these persons come here and make sure that they had a good time. And you can imagine now all of those persons going back with a view of not only the concert, the encore, the Junkanoo, the Valley Boys. I listened to the talk show earlier, and they was talking about various groups. But I'm sure they would have seen the Junkanoo part of that event with the Valley Boys came on stage and did the encore with Cass. And I mean, that alone, Cass has over 200,000 followers, and he posts that on his Instagram. So that alone is other ways for persons to know that we do have something good here in the Bahamas. But we have to get it out to the world. We have to bring people here to see it, and so they can help us take it out, And that's the reason why. And when we do, I know you wanted to also talk Junkanoo. Mm-hmm. That is I sorry to go ahead of your Junkanoo talk, but that is the reason why our Junkanoo is not getting the international appeal that it should be getting.
Yeah. Well, then let's go there, because of course we'll talk about how we can maybe shape Junkanoo for this year if possible. But let's talk about Junkanoo as something that can be exported or import Is it something that we should consider as an export or something where people are imported into?
Okay, both ways. It's something that we import people to first, and then we allow them to export it. And so, so that's how reggae music get big. They bring you to Jamaica, you fall in love with it, and then you go back and you take it whatever country you came from. And so that's what we need to be doing with Junkanoo. But we're so caught up in the fact that it's the Valley, it's the Saxon, we just beat the roots. Oh, one family win. And after each parade, nobody can tell you the true winner is. And after,
that's so true.
And after each parade, nobody could tell you that they're buying buckets in the plus because the parade is over. Every Junkanoo buying buckets in the red. And so, with that being said, stop being selfish with what we call our culture. It's our culture, yes, but it's also our culture to share with the rest of the world. You realize, and I don't know, we and another caller earlier today was talking about how the Chinese opening Chinese restaurants all over the Bahamas. Yes, because that is their culture. They export their Chinese restaurant to the world and they make money off it.
That's right.
But we decide to keep our culture, which is Junkanoo, just for ourselves, just to row for 1 week. And after you row for 1 week, you sleep for another 6 months, and then you go in the shop for another 6 months to find out that when you go to the bank, when your family, when your wife go to check the bank account January 1st, your bank book in the red because we were not able enough. We're not able to make a living off Junkanoo. So how do you now make a living off Junkanoo? How do you export it? It's easy. The same way how you export every other festival. Allow persons to come here to be a part of what we have. You sell them the costumes. You set up groups for them and let them be a part of the parade. Then they now in turn start taking pictures. They take their selfies. They post it on the Instagram and post it. And every year the numbers will keep growing and growing and growing. But we're so caught up in the Valley Boys, the Saks, and we have to wait for the government to give us our seed money. Gone are those days. We need to just allow it to become a business, and when we allow it to become a business, you'll be surprised to see how it flourishes.
I love that. I think that you hitting on some key things there. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We're talking about Junkanoo as an export, as something that's a cultural thing that can be shared, because that's one of the big things here. King Alpha, if you're just tuning in, Trevor Davis joining us. Alpha Sounds, also known, apparently I've been told that it is King Alpha. You are also known as Trevor Davis, but you are King Alpha, also known as Trevor Davis.
The music side, yes.
What is so interesting about it, and what you're saying is so true, is that if we look at it as something that is exported. I give you an example. I know, of course, you are familiar with Caravana, right? And in Toronto, and I was so impressed that, hey, Caravana is this. Oh, we do this, and this is something you do in Toronto. And I remember we from school, we bussed in Toronto just to watch Caravana. Now, Caravana ain't my kind of thing necessarily, but boy, it was surely something that was worth doing, and people were lined up for it. Just like you have Carnival, that is international. Carnival is global. Junkanoo is known and seen as one of the most beautiful events in the world. But somehow we stay broke. Somehow we can't.
We stay broke, and if you look at some of the older Junkanoo groups, been around 40, 50 years, and you still have to depend on seed money. You still have to look for sponsors. If you still have to depend on seed money and sponsors after 40, 50 years, 30 years, there's definitely something wrong with that. And I'm not matching any one of the Junkanoo groups. I'm a Valley Boy. I still love the Valley Boys, but I just don't particularly like the formula and the way that we present Junkanoo to the country and the way we present Junkanoo to the world. I think we can do it a much better way. And I also think that it could be very profitable for the young guys that be in the shark pacing for the 4-6 months and just to get a T-shirt. That's a sad situation.
Just to get a T-shirt. And then listen, if you play a sousaphone, your lips swollen for 2 days, your hands swollen, your shoulders aching, your feet swollen. But it's something about that joy. But now, how do we? Okay, so then this is it now, Trevor. Oh, Alpha, yes. King Alpha. This is how. Or my question would then be, okay, how does that actually work? Do we say then, okay, we only do a competition once instead of it being Boxing Day and New Year's Day? That once Boxing Day we do the competition, New Year's Day we change the MO. Like, how do you envision it?
I mean, this is something that I envision probably from 2003, 2004, in my early days of going to Trinidad Carnival. After you go to Carnival in Trinidad, and so I could bring it straight away, and you see the amount of income that is generated because of all the events. Because the persons who doing Airbnb, Trinidad was doing Airbnb before Airbnb even come out. They was renting cars before persons, so these things were going on for such a long time. And I've been seeing these things for over 20 years. And so when I come back, the business side of me always click. How can we as Junkanooers now turn that all that time and that energy, that love of labor that we put in the jungle shack, and we be able to have some money in these guys' pocket. Because when you pay in a lead costume, you can't pay a guy for a lead costume. I'm sorry. The time, the labor, the love, the money they spend, there's you can't add up the value. And so there has to be some way that they could get some kind of compensation. So even if it isn't full compensation, and so I started to look and I started to measure what do they do different. As like you say, Carabana, when you start to go to all these different festivals around the world and you look at what it is that they doing different that we need to do to change Junkanoo so we could have more persons, one, fly in for Junkanoo and partake of Junkanoo. And at the end of the day, the young fellas in the shack pacing, buying book don't be in the red, it be in the positive after Junkanoo.
Man, listen.
And so that's what kept me going every year, and I just keep figuring out ways and ways and ways. So one of the ways is by allowing persons to fly in. And how do you get them to fly in to be a part? You let them know that this it's international night. What is international night? When everybody who fly in get to be part to be in the road. You can't expect me to come from Toronto and tell me I must know how to beat the drum properly to be a part of the parade. You put the drum in their hand and however they beat, they beat. However they blow the whistle or however they shake the cowbell, they are happy with it. But the pictures that they're going to take, the amount of fun that they're going to have, I guarantee you, every year after we start open it up, the numbers are going to increase and you're going to see more heads in bed. And you're eventually going to have that Junkanoo, the one-time staple of the year, that you'll be able to make so much revenue that will be able to take it for 3 or 4 months till we get into the next festival. And so again, what do we also do is change the way that we do Boxing Day and New Year's. You have 2 weeks of festivities. You could have
Hold
your
that thought. Hold that thought. Let's go to break. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. King Alpha talking some good stuff with Junkanoo. We'll be back right after this.
Fidelity, the holidays are all about family, spending time with loved ones, and being thankful for the little things in life. Worrying about bills should be the last thing on your mind, especially during the holidays. Let Fidelity help you get your bills under control. Fidelity can also get you started with a real savings plan that actually pays you interest. The only thing you need to think about is what you will do with the savings in your pocket this Christmas. Now that's what I'm talking about. Fidelity Bank is here for you this holiday season because you are family, and family is important to us.
Food security is a challenge for many. Now in a pandemic, many more are unsure of their next meal. Through their Feed 5,000 program and a $20,000 donation, AML is working to ensure that everyone has a meal for the holidays, and they're inviting you to help. Now until December 17th, visit any Solomon's, Costrite, Fresh Market, or Domino's in Nassau or Freeport, and Exuma Markets in Georgetown to donate and help feed a family in need this Christmas. No amount is too small. Remember, we're all in this together.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is your Guardian News update on the hour. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Berthany McDermott. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's what's making news. A brazen daylight shooting caught on camera in Bimini, going viral on social media. A physical altercation between two men climaxed in a shooting. The victim was transported to the local clinic and later brought to the capital for medical assistance. Police investigations into this matter continue. The Zonta Club of New Providence is calling for the government to create a court specifically to deal with domestic and sexual violence against women and children. The Zonta Club says such a court would expedite cases, ensuring swift justice for victims. Prime Minister Philip Davis expected to review two hair-raising Auditor General's reports pointing to malfeasance at the National Sports Authority and at Maiguana's local government accounts. In Maiguana, nearly $80,000 went missing, and at NSA, employees were hired without board approval. A contract was awarded without cabinet approval, and checks were made out to persons rather than businesses, among other issues. According to Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, the Prime Minister has to decide what, if anything, happens next with those audits tabled in Parliament this week. And travel research company Forward Keys ranking the Bahamas as the 8th most popular destination for Americans traveling over the Thanksgiving holiday. The Spanish research firm says it analyzes millions of flight bookings in near real time. In comparison to pre-pandemic figures in 2019, demand for the Bahamas is reportedly up 24%. Ranking ahead of the Bahamas were El Salvador, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, Mexico, and Aruba. Well, that's a look at stories making headlines at this hour. For the Guardian News Network, I'm Berthany McDermott. Stay with us. AP Update is up next.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
From social programs to climate, I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Debate is underway in the U.S. House on President Biden's $1.85 trillion bill covering issues from child care assistance to no-cost preschool, along with combating climate change. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Creates good-paying jobs, how it cuts taxes for the middle class, how it lowers costs for America's working families, and how it is all paid for.
Missouri Republican Congressman Jason Smith says despite the tax increase on people making $400,000 a year or more,
it will completely change America as we know it, all at the expense of working class families.
After calling 7 witnesses, including one of 3 defendants, Travis McMichael, to testify, his attorney and those for his father, Greg McMichael, and neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, rested their cases. They are accused of murder in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. Closing arguments are set for Monday in Brunswick, Georgia. I'm Tim McGuire.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black. It's the hit back with the hash of black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I've got my special guest, King Alpha, joining us, Trevor Davis, CEO of Alpha Sounds, and now my good friend, C.A. Nuri, who's also joining us as well. C.A., I don't know, have you ever met King Alpha before?
No, it's a pleasure. I know the name. I'm familiar. I grew up off East Street, and I think that he has a store on East Street and that's Flint Street, Fleming Street.
Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Try it again. Oh no, you got to come in and out. Do it one more time. Log out and come back in, King Alpha. Let's see if we can get you back in. All right. You know, it's always technical issues when you need it most, eh? When you need to get it right.
The good thing is I'm here, and now it's you and I.
Yeah, so I'm so moved. I love you too.
I know. It's much love and appreciation.
Yeah, but I know you had a chance to hear some of what was said, and we're talking about Junkanoo as an export. And I wanted to get your sense once we get Mr. Davis back online. And I think I see him coming in.
I listened to him, and I appreciate what he said. And these are some of the sentiments that Junkanoos have been saying for a while, which Ministry of Culture has been saying for a while. But the problem is that there hasn't been a complete analysis of what Junkanoo is, what it means to the Bahamian people, and what the Bahamian people, inclusive of the Junkanoos, want for Junkanoo. I hear what Trevor wants for Junkanoo, but that's not necessarily what Junkanooers want for Junkanoo, right? Mm-hmm. This export, the term exporting Junkanoo may not necessarily is what the Junkanoos want. They want that competition. They thrive off the competition, and they're quite content of having Junkanoo remain what it is. Now, if you're saying that Junkanoos do not make money, whereas I would say I know a lot of Junkanoos who do make money, but perhaps it is that they don't want to make money. And if you don't want to make money, why push me to make money? So there are a number of Junkanoos who are quite content of having Junkanoo remain what it is, a festival for them, not a festival for foreigners to participate in. And forgive me, Trevor. And I, as a spectator, because I'm not a Junkanoo, right? I think I rushed once in high school, and that was for a high school Junkanoo band. I've never, even though I've been into a shack, even though I've pasted, I cannot say that I am vested in Junkanoo. Nor can I say that the majority of the Bahamian people are vested in Junkanoo. In fact, I think a small, minute population ever pasted in their life, ever rushed in their life, never went on Bay Street other than being a spectator. Junkanoo is a spectator sport. It's like football. I can't determine what happens to the coach in the Miami Dolphins, nor can I determine who they draft. I go there and cheer. That's my job. My job is to cheer that my Miami Dolphins finally win one, right? And to see or have the conversation that Junkanoos do not make money. I see Nahaja get booted off. Trevor says both you and I, so I can let you speak. Forgive me until Nahaja gets back on. But to say that Junkanoos do not make money or need to make money, I think it needs to be investigated to find out whether they want to make money. And if it is true that they do not want to make money, why force them?
Okay, and fine. And if you don't want to make money, if you don't want to look at it from a business, that's good. That's fine. But at the same time, when it's time to go to Bay Street, don't be looking for seed money or don't be asking for sponsorship. That's all I'm saying, If you're going to do something, let's not put the burden because you love it and it's not being done the way, in my humble opinion, think is right. Don't put the burden on somebody else. And I want you to name now, and this is our culture. This is something we love. And you are blessed. Every country in this world is blessed with a special culture. Not because you're blessed with a special culture, that means you're supposed to keep it to yourself. That's my humble opinion. I personally feel that everybody ought to be making a living off their culture. You should be able to, if you do something so well, you should be able to take care of your family from it. If you can't tell me that nobody else in the world could build and paste a costume like a Bahamian, but that same young man at the end of the parade, and I've been there. I've been in jungle for 42 years, so I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. A same young man is going to see me right after the parade or even on the parade and said he needs something to eat, or why I didn't give him a shirt because he doesn't have a shirt.
And I hear you, Trevor, and I won't argue with that. There is a need to expand the monetarization of Junkanoo, but to say that Junkanoos do not make money is a falsehood. As I know Junkanoos who paste costume and make $1,200 for one costume, and they're doing 6, right? And they're doing that in 3 months. So three months.
Okay, and I'm going to respect that.
Right.
So you said
so if they want to monetize it,
okay. Let me give me a chance. You said 6 costumes in 3 months, and they made $1,200.
No, $1,200 each for each costume.
$1,200. So 6 times 12, you're talking about $7,200 somewhere around there in 3 months.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened? So that's only 3 months. What happened to the other 9 months of the year? And if he's making $7,200 in 3 months, why we can't make that way? He can make $14,400. Why we can't fix it so double? That's what I'm talking about, and that's him. But now that $1,200 that he made off that individual, someone had to pay him that $1,200. So that person who paid him that $1,200 didn't make anything. So that's what I'm speaking. I'm speaking to the fact that it's enough for everybody. So he doesn't have to worry about making just that $1,200 from those persons. It could be a year-long job. If we decide to export this, the young man on the street who doesn't have a job, he doesn't mind being in the shack. for the whole year because now he is getting paid. Let's find a way to keep him in the shack and keep him off the streets. If that's what he loves, pay him for it.
And I hear you, Trevor. And I like to say that, I know you're familiar with the Junkanoo group, Junkanoo Commandos. There are about 3 to 5 Junkanoo groups who have monetized Junkanoo. Junkanoo is already exported. If you want to have a Junkanoo group go abroad and they get paid the $30,000, $40,000 for the trip, that can be done. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that the festival of Junkanoo cannot be extended, because I believe that Junkanoo could be a 7-day event, right? I can embrace that. But one must appreciate that the competition that happens on Bay, that Boxing Day event is something special to Bahamian people. We don't want that watered down. We don't want no foreigners in that, in terms of having expats coming in and messing up the sound and the temperament of that. I'm saying, give me a second. Hold on. Leave that alone. Leave Boxing Day alone. And if you want to choose another day and another event and sponsor that, fine. I know you have that money and the talent to have a Junkanoo in April, and we will come at your Junkanoo in April and have it like how you have it.
Okay, so now, first of all, I don't want you to misunderstand what I was saying. I never said to allow the foreigners to partake in the Boxing Day parade. What I was simply saying is that we extend the amount of nights, the 7 day, the 14 days, and you have an international night. The international night is just geared for your international people along with your local people. You can't have Boxing Day remain as Boxing Day as a competition. The costume, then you have okay. The reason why persons don't come to Bay Street right now as Junkanoo before COVID, let me give you some of the reasons, because I've been going for 42 years. 1, no parking. That's the first one. 2, not a major complete. The groups stay too long. Okay, so let's just deal with those 2. No parking and the group taking too long. The groups take too long because when I started rushing in 1980, now you know how when I started rushing, we had the whole of Bay Street for ourselves from one end to the next. We were spread 7 miles across. We had room to dance. We had room to move. And we moved down Bay Street in a quick, orderly fashion. And we got over in time. Now, the new modern Junkanoo, what we do, we put the barricades and the bleachers in the road. So the road size now is half the size. The Junkanoo groups are bigger. We find a way to make the costumes lighter. So what we do, we make bigger costumes. So now you get 3 Santa Claus rushing down. So now what used to take us 30 or 40 minutes to get down Bay Street, now taking us 70 to 80 minutes. And then you have to wait on the other groups. So in my humble opinion, again, something I have a problem with, Bay Street being too small. We need to move Junkanoo off Bay Street, and that's my opinion. Everybody says, oh, you can't move Junkanoo off Bay Street. That's the best place where the music sounds the best. And I'm sure everybody by now would have had a Valley Boys, a Saxon, or One Family or Roots Junkanoo CD and played it. None of those CDs y'all play ever was recorded on Bay Street. Every Junkanoo CD was recorded at practice. Every practice is in the open. So what is the reason why we have to conform the Bay Street where there's no parking, the road half the size, you can't perform the way you ought to perform, and then you're going to be waiting long periods of time for the next group to come. Or you say it unorganized. It has to be unorganized because you're in a smaller space. Let's get to a space that is conducive, and let's get to a space that can hold the bleachers and can hold persons parking, and then you'll see more people. And then you're now able to have the Junkanoo that you wanted during a time like this because you have more space. And so if the pandemic hasn't teach you nothing else, this is a perfect opportunity now to stop pivoting and say, you know what, let's move Junkanoo off Bay Street because of the pandemic, and we need more space to spread out.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, my good friend C.A. Nuri, and of course, King Alpha, Trevor Davis joining us, Alpha Sound CEO, and one of the country's leading entertainment companies bringing great events. If you're not watching online, and for those who are watching online, there's a video that I'm showing. It shows we in the Bahamas, we did a Cuban festival in 2015. And this is us walking down the streets of Cuba, and folks just walking in the line with us. And look at it. Of course, you have your Junkanoo group in the back with the music playing, but now it's open. It's open for folks to come in. And I actually do agree. I think that there is that opportunity for us to create an exportable experience with Junkanoo. I really do. Whereas I agree also with CA, well, listen, we like to compete. That's why I think you have that one day. You have that you have a regular competition, Valley, Saxons. Like Trevor said, you don't know who win for sure at the end of it, because every time if somebody cheat, you go the whole year vex to ratted, as my friend CA would say. You still ain't know who win. But it's always Valley, by the way. Always Valley. Just for the record, Saxons has never won since I've been born. I just want that to be clear. But I think that there is definitely something there that, and that's my question, guys, is that the monetizing of it, there is for something that is so revered, for something that we sell, for something that is so unique. And our talent could beat the Rose Parade. I don't even know what they do in the States with this Rose Parade. I don't know what that is. But this is something where I believe that there should be more money and more wealth in a culture so rich.
And you're absolutely right, Nahaja. I agree with you 100%. Nobody in the world could build costumes like us. Nobody could paste like us. But at the same time, we're not receiving due justice for our talent. And that's all I'm saying. Let's put our talent, let's put it where our young men and our young ladies could receive some dues for our talent. We paste costumes. Actually, we paste costumes. We paste costumes. You'll be in the shop for 6 months, pasting your costume. And right after the parade, before the parade over, you see the garbage trucks coming by and picking up. That's thousands of dollars. If you start calculating the rod, the materials, the glue, the paper, and the time, not even talking about the time spent pasting this costume. And for a garbage truck, within less than half an hour to ride past Bay Street and start throwing in garbage, that's ludicrous. That's ludicrous. And for years, and to be honest with the persons who know me, they know I love the Valley Boys, I love Junkanoo, but hence is the reason why I stay away and push further and further away from it, because there's no way in the world that you could just spend all this money on this culture to have somebody come behind you half an hour and just throw in the garbage. We don't have a way to preserve it. We don't have a way to export it. After 50 years, and everybody else around the world exporting their culture and making money off their culture, and you could tell me now, our young men so loyal and so colonialist that they just want to go in the shack to beat the Valley and beat the Saxon. And as a matter of fact, that's what was told to me when I first walked in the shack. Nothing but how we could turn Junkanoo and be an entrepreneur or make money from Junkanoo, you know. But my only job was to beat the Saxon.
That's the only job you need, this Junkanoo, man.
Inside the Junkanoo shack in 1980. My job was to go there, we're going to beat the Saxon. Nothing else they told me. They never told me how I could make some hats and sell the hats, or I could make some cowbells and sell some cowbells, or export anything. Just don't care how much sleepless night you have. Don't care how much coffee there or the lunch lady and bring the food yet. Let's just beat the Saxon.
Yeah.
It have to be more than that for our young men. It have to be more than that for our young ladies if we want to be compete with the rest of the countries around the world. Every other country exporting. That bubble you all saw here the other day, that is a Caribbean thing that is going to be exported throughout the land, throughout the world. There's a carnival show in Dubai in 2 weeks.
Wow.
You think those persons in Dubai know anything but any carnival or that's their culture? But the people, they know that they're going to fill up some hotel rooms and have a good time and make some money. And persons going to be employed.
CA, your thoughts?
So that's what I'm talking about, CA. I'm not talking about selling out. I'm not talking about anything else. That how we going to get some heads in beds. What we are going to do different. We cannot continue to sit by idle and let the Jamaica and all the other rest of the Caribbean islands attract more tourism, more tourists through entertainment, and we sit right here and we get the best waters in the world. And it was proven. That was 2-3 years ago, the Fire Festival. We had, again, something I was trying to do from 2006, Nahaja, no support, nobody saw the idea. But they allowed a foreigner to jump on the plane from New York, Atlanta, and Exuma with thousands of persons. And something we here as Bahamians should be doing. Not that we could do, We all know that we have the talent and ability to do it. Something that we should be doing. And when we gonna understand the Bahamas belongs to Bahamians, stop allowing other persons to come here and do these events and then walk away. We could do our own fire festival. We have the ability. Every single international artist,
That's what
somebody on
happened.
contact you.
All right, hold on. I was talking to myself the whole time. CA, before we go to break, your thoughts.
And Nahaja, I appreciate Trevor and what he's saying, right? Like I said, I'm familiar with him from when I was growing up off of East Street. So I understand his passion. But we have two to three different conversations happening right now. One is the experience of Junkanoo and what Junkanoo can be developed and what it should be, who it should be for. And then next is the parade itself. Who does the parade belong to? The parade itself doesn't belong to the Bahamian people. The parade itself belongs to the Junkanoo group. And we see that right now during COVID, because the government wanted to put on Junkanoo right now. The government would say, hey, I need y'all to rush. Please rush. And the Junkanoos now saying, no, we're not rushing, because Junkanoo, the parade itself, belongs to us. And we as a unit has decided not to rush because of COVID. And the current right now is government is now negotiating with them and waiting. And the conclusion is there won't be no Junkanoo, because the Junkanoos have decided they do not want to rush. Now let's talk about the parade and expansion and all these things that Trevor suggested. The Junkanoos have decided they don't want it. Trevor could beg and plead all they want. Dyson Knight is on your timeline say, oh, we need to do all these things. The Junkanoos, who the parade belongs to, have decided they are not interested. Full stop. So now that they have decided that they are not interested, we need to respect their position. And if Trevor wants to do something separate and apart from that, go ahead. I will sponsor him and I will go there and do that. I see Lady E also, right? And the point is, Dyson Knight and Lady E can approach the government and go on Bahama Boulevard without Saxons, without the Valley Boys, and do a scrap group and rush. And nobody would stop them. No one would get angry. The Junkanoos will go on Bay Street, and those who want to go on Bahama Boulevard can do that. And those who want to go on Bay Street can do that. It's not right to diminish culture. If I want to rush for free, let me rush for free.
Well, I don't think anybody's diminishing culture.
I think this is what the conversation is about.
But ain't nobody's diminishing culture.
No.
The conversation is about what Junkanoos want, right?
There's nothing
Junkanoos. See, and I watching the comments and reading and listening to at the same time, right? And it shows that we need an education on what Junkanoo is about. Like, for example, I've learned that the word is Junkanoo and Junkanoos and not Junkanooers from Eileen Nash, right? Because there's a narrative and an explanation of where Junkanoo came about and what things are. The conclusion is Junkanoo parade itself belongs to the Junkanoo groups. This is why the government had to go and petition to the Junkanoo Corporation and say, what is it that y'all want so we can facilitate it? Now, if other people want to do other things, Junkanoo is free for all of us, right? I can have a rush out in Foxhill now, excluding them, and do all those things what Trevor is saying. I want to know how come Trevor has yet to do any of those things. What is stopping him from negotiating with the people at Bahama and saying we'll rush out? Bahama have rushed out all the time. Atlantis has rushed out all the time. Every wedding have rushed out all the time. But we're saying that Junkanoos want to have Junkanoo how it is now. And if you want to have something different, we're not going to stop you. We can support you. And then if you invite us and want to pay us to come and add to your Junkanoo on Bahama Bay, pay us and we will come. But just leave us alone with our little thing and let us be cultural and love ourselves. Because we rush not for foreigners, no. We rush not for no other people. We rush because we like rushing. If there's no money in it, we'll rush again. Our ancestors make no money from Junkanoo, no. They rush because they enjoyed it. And we will continue to do that.
Hold on, wait. And hold that thought. Hold on. I can let you respond. Let's go to break. We got to take a break. Someone says, LOL, Sting and Kalikas 3.0. That's what
Trevor wants. Go on Bahama Boulevard, let them do that.
And CA, but someone says JCA, that's two different things. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have more on this discussion. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Do you worry that you or your loved ones may get COVID-19 and possibly die from it? Getting a COVID-19 vaccine can lower your risk of severe illness or death from COVID-19. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is available, and you only need one shot. One and done and fully vaccinated for now. Talk to a healthcare professional about your concerns and about getting vaccinated. To be safe, continue to wash your hands, wear your face mask, practice physical distancing, and get vaccinated.
This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health and this radio station.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. C.A. Nuri, King Alpha joining the show. We're talking about the ways in which we can create an economic package for Junkanoo. And by the way, just for the record, I know my good friend, and everybody, like I would say, everybody's my good friend. And we never even had lunch yet, but we could change all of that. I always tell people, CAs get all offended because everybody's my good friend. It only means CAs go and do lunch. Yeah. Sorry, CA. CAs come to my house. We're real good friends, and everybody's good friends. Hey, CA. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. So one of the things, though, that Trevor has shared that I want to make sure it's clear, or that I agree with, is that there is so much opportunity with our culture. Reggae is a culture that has transcended location. Everyone knows that reggae is Jamaican, right? That's what it is. Even if it ain't true, that's where they land with that. My whole thing is now, okay, we are known for the most beautiful parade. And is there a way that we can make this parade, not the one that we love as Bimis? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't want no guests in my parade, but they beating the drum when I try to figure out the best chorus for It Is Well With My Soul. I want when, One Glad Morning, when this is I want that hit right. Don't want no stray Sousa. Don't want nobody collect wrong. So I understand that point. We don't want to mess with that part. But there is an opportunity. And I think too, there are some parts of the Junkanooers and Junkanoo where people want to hold on to it. And they're strangling progress. They're strangling growth because they're stuck in a way. And I wonder if you really were to do a poll of Junkanooers, would they really be opposed to having something every quarter that's international night? Now, don't forget, we did something in Junkanoo in July. So we have this sort of idea already out there. Junkanoo in July. We do a Junkanoo Russia in July. Can we make that something where we can have it every Friday night for Junkanoo in July, that it is something where guests get involved? But I don't see it as a difficult thing. I don't see it that if you do one, you're opposing the other, you're destroying the other. I think these things are complementary. I think there is an industry from our culture, because and just for the record, I think that we have diminished our value. We don't put value on things because we don't believe it's valuable enough. If you were to put value on our culture, then you'd understand how valuable it is to the world. And that is, I think, the insecurity of putting value on our culture. It isn't because I don't think people want to make money. It's because they don't believe that they can make money. And I think that's what Trevor's saying.
Yes, exactly. And you're absolutely correct. And so I just want to go back to what Sia was saying earlier. And he started off saying by he never was in the shack and he don't pace and all that, but he loved Junkanoo. He's a Junkanoo. Let me tell you something, Sia. I've been there. I've been in the shack. I've slept in shack many, many nights to wake up to know that there was no coffee when we wake up in the morning. But our obligation was to get that costume to be. My obligation at that time was to beat the socks in. JJ could tell you. Okay, so don't so when you said that's your opinion that Junkanoos don't want to get paid. There are guys that be in those Junkanoo shops that don't have a job. And that when someone pulls up and bring something to drink or bring some lunch, they happy for that. So I can't see why we would say that they don't want to get paid or they should be compensated for their talent. That is ludicrous. The thing that we have all this talent that God blesses for and that we should have no compensation, that we should just continue to go in the shack for month after month and pay because we love it? No, that's your opinion. You ask any Junkanoo if they rather be paid for their talent, and anybody will tell you yes. That's my opinion. I've been there. I've seen it.
As Nahaj, you know, I'm a culturalist, right? I'm a lay historian, and I like culture. And in fact, my view of Junkanoo comes from a cultural and a historic viewpoint, where I push back on Junkanoo all the time, says not historically correct. But that being said, right, there is a Junkanoo festival now that exists that is orchestrated by Angelique, where what Trevor is saying happens now. Where every year you go to that place on, I forget the old restaurant, Buena Vista, and tourists and Junkanoo enthusiasts can go and pace. They can go and get a history of Junkanoo. They can go and be involved separate from the parade. Now, what Trevor is describing is a Junkanoo festival, and what I am purporting is the Junkanoo parade, which are two different things. I don't believe they need to be mixed. The Junkanoo parade is for us. It belongs to the Junkanoos, and they want to rush on Bay Street. And this is what their caveat. This is what they said, and this is what they want. Now, if there is a need for a festival, right, let's create that separate and apart from the parade. And that's where I'm coming at. It doesn't have to be one and all the same. Based on Boxing Day needs to have the competition between Saxon, One Family, and we know that One Family is the best group in the Bahamas right now, but they need to compete. They need to compete on Boxing Day. And if you want to have a festival where we want to bring people in, we can have that on a different day. We can have that on January 14th, January 10th, but leave Boxing Day and leave New Year's Day alone. And that's what I'm saying. I'm cool with all the other festivals, what I'm saying. If you want to get paid from that, do that separate. But why dilute what we want? And the thing is, we want to remain the same.
Let me just say. Let me just say this to you. And allowing Boxing Day to remain the same, the week in between Boxing Day and New Year's is the day when we ought to and when we should be having the festivities. Look at it from a geographical point of view. The Bahamas, normally that time of the year, we happy to be celebrating about 70 to 75 degrees in temperature, real warm. We may dip to 65 one night. Every other place around up north from Atlanta straight to Canada in ice, snow, cold. Why not create the festivities right in that week where they can come to the Bahamas to see the Boxing Day parade, be a part of the festivities that week, and enjoy New Year's here in the Bahamas? Why we have to, and when you think about it, that's the perfect time for them to travel. So that's all I'm saying. Nobody says the border with Boxing Day. Let the major groups continue to row and decide who win and who go win, and the winner never win. That could remain the same. All I'm saying is that Junkanoo, you need to add other instruments into the festival for Junkanoo. So when a young man is in the shack pacing from June to December, he's also pacing for group, but he's also pacing to sell costumes to the persons who flying down. That's all I'm saying. And so now that $1,200 a costume that you were talking about, now that could go up to, instead of pacing 6 costumes, that's 36 costumes. So that young man now gets 36 times 12 instead of 6 times. Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said, Trevor. And I see how we come full circle again. Leave Junkanoo how it is and have something separate. And that's what Howard is saying. It seems that if we want to change Boxing Day, we're saying that Boxing Day won't change.
We never said the change.
You're arguing something that was never really a point. You're arguing something that was never said. We never said to change Boxing Day.
My point is, if you want to expand Junkanoo, to have Junkanoo on a separate day, right, for other people, that's a complete different narrative and a complete different topic. No one is disagreeing with that, right? But the two major events, we need to define who is it for, who is the target audience. And once we determine who is the target audience and who it's for, we can add on any other festival. And the festival doesn't have to be put on by the Junkanoos, the major groups. They can be put on by Trevor on a different day. Nobody is stopping Trevor to say, hey, by the way, on the 27th, you all come by me. You all come by me, and we'll have a rush out.
No. But I think also you're missing something here too, where I think, or I don't know if this is the case. I won't say you're missing something. Maybe I'm just inferring, right? Where I would say that this is a national discussion of a change of how we do things. The reason why it shouldn't just be Trevor, right? It shouldn't just be another person. It should be us saying, okay, listen, now mind you, it may have to start with 1 or 2 entities and then everybody else buy in, right? Where other people will buy in and say, you know what, other group? I see now where we have between Boxing Day and New Year's Day, the 2 national parades, the 2 parades where we care about who win and who lose. That week is a week of festivities. That week we have one night, which is the join in the middle and everybody, that international night. And then there's tons of food. Vendors are all over the place, sharing our national wares. Similar to, I guess, to what I think Angelique there was the Junkanoo Arts Festival. Now you could have that Junkanoo Arts Festival around that time as well, creating other things. Because I know you have fetes. I don't know. I don't follow carnivals. So you have like mini parties all over the place. I don't know what you do. But I think that there is something there where I, as an entrepreneur, now know that there's an opportunity to sell my wares. Everyone else has an opportunity to now create an entertainment zone just off of this Junkanoo parades, and we can create more economic, growth.
Yes, and you're absolutely correct. And so to that, you said I could go out there and I could put on the event, and yes, I could do that. But you got to understand when you are going out there and to put on an event to invite people to partake, to come to the Bahamas, all hands have to be on deck. And that's what the problem has been over the years. Every time you try to do an international event, you bring persons to the Bahamas, for whatever reason, successive governments don't see the value in our tourism getting involved. Oh, that's nothing we need to put our name on. There was 175 rooms that was booked last weekend, and I challenge anybody to go to Breezes and get the records. Mm-hmm. Tourism, the government, past government, this government, had nothing to do with that. Now, you can imagine if tourism was to now start endorsing events like that, that 175 room next year will easily be 500 rooms.
We got a call on the line. Let's get this caller. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome.
Yeah, good night, Mark. How you all doing in your guest?
Doing well, man. Thanks for calling.
Good night.
Wonderful. Now, I don't normally agree with C.A. Nuri, right? But C.A. Nuri is hitting the nails. Is firing on all cylinders. The other guest that he's been in the shack, and he's been in the Junkanoo shack, and he would know how fatigued the Junkanoo is be after facing from almost January to culminate with December and New Year. So to try to fit another festival in the middle, something in the middle there, you can kill the Junkanoo. What C.A. is suggesting that we start up the summer festival. We can use smaller costumes. That's where everybody get a chance to participate with their group of choice. We can do it same carnival style, or we do take the template of carnival We could put it on. We don't have to use no music. We could use the beat. We could do it. We could do that for the entire year in terms of a Junkanoo festival. What Angelique is doing is beautiful. It is correct idea. But the problem is we have some people in this country who don't want to see Junkanoo on Bay Street. You know, you might as well call it what it is. They don't care whether it comes up or down. And if you try to bring it up, because they put on it. You understand me? That's the problem. And we have some Junkanooers who they try to make all the money from it. And they don't want nobody else to make no money. But Junkanoo is $1 billion industry. It can work. And the Christmas, we do everything for the summer, and it culminates with the big rush out, the Valley and the Saxon, and the other groups at Boxing Day and New Year. So you got the whole year to do what you want to do. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that your thoughts, guys.
You see, you agree with me. I'm just making sure that's like 6.
It's on the record.
That's a record. Yes, it's on the record. And I appreciate that. But let me say this, Trevor, and let you respond to that. And I also want to remind people that there is a Junkanoo calendar of events. That is, Junkanoo is not just December, but there are different Junkanoo parades that promotes exactly what Trevor's saying.
Yeah.
And perhaps we need to develop those instead.
But Junkanoo is not exported the way Carnival is exported. And my whole thing is, all I want, why this is, and I guess maybe that's the thing, right? I don't paste. I think that this is something that we can create a whole cultural experience off of that's international. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's my argument. You know, my argument is that we have the greatest festival in the world, and yet we cannot convince persons to fly down here to see it. That is my argument. If you look on Boxing Day, look at Bay Street, Boxing Day, or New Year's, how much persons do we see in those bleachers that actually fly down to the Bahamas just to come and see Junkanoo? That happened in the 80s. That don't happen no more. And I want somebody to tell me, because I walk the parade. There's no Junkanoo parade I've missed for 42 years. And as a business and entrepreneur, my job is to look at the crowd. I look at the crowd. I look in the crowd. I see you in the crowd. And for years I've been looking to see how much people actually fly to the Bahamas just to watch Junkanoo, just to be a part of Junkanoo. So there's no direct income on us having no direct financial income on us having Junkanoo the way it is. All we continue to do is open the hole and continue to throw money down in it. So we got to find a way to close the hole, find a way so persons could actually fly to the Bahamas to watch or be a part of Junkanoo. That's all I'm saying. And then when they fly down to the Bahamas to watch and be a part of Junkanoo, hence the young man in the shack don't have to ask you for $5 or don't have to worry about waking up in the morning and don't see no coffee there or worry about if the lunch lady coming on time, because they will have money in their pockets. That's what I'm speaking to. Let the Valley Boys and the Saxon One family continue to row for the big prize, but nobody never win. But in somewhere we have to stop and pivot and say, listen here, we have the best festival in the world and nobody is flying to the Bahamas for it. What is the problem? We need this to fix. How is it that I could have a bubble event and get 175 rooms in Breezes in the space of 3 weeks? And nobody is asking how that happened. And so what I'm saying is, let's let the same thing happen for Junkanoo. Let's let the hotels be filled with guests. Let's when the airlines leaving, persons are leaving with pieces of our artifacts in their hands.
Do you believe that it can happen? How soon do you think that is possible to happen? If we were to leave this, even if as it is right now, do you think that we've done enough to attract people? And if you're just tuning in,
No.
We can do more just to attract people, just for this, just for what is now.
You've done, in order to, it has to be an international push. It has to be a nation push. It has to be, and I'll give you this. We have, Nahaja, at any given time, we have 4,000 to 6,000 Bahamian students abroad in school. At no point and no time we encourage our young Bahamian kids to bring somebody home with them to be a part of this parade or to watch this parade. You can imagine 4,000 students in school, and if half of them was to invite or bring somebody down for the Christmas to be a part of this parade, that's your numbers right there. And you know, I get so upset just seeing how much opportunities we miss as a country because we're so busy rather than fighting over the round things. The idea is to get people to come to the Bahamas. There's no more sunshine and sea. Dubai have sunshine and sea. All over the world there's sunshine and sea. But we do have Junkanoo. And we haven't found a way to allow people to come to the Bahamas to be a part of our Junkanoo. And this is something that we could do at least 2-3 times a year. I don't have a problem with having it 2-3 times a year. But everybody is excited. Even you talk about Carnival in Toronto. How is it that you don't even like Carnival music, but you end up at Toronto Carnival?
That's
the
right.
Caravana. My point exactly. Because we don't even encourage that Bahamians to sell Junkanoo. How many students go away to school and they get a Bahamian t-shirt at the airport when they leave it? But yet we say Junkanoo is we the greatest in the world. You are the greatest in the world in what? You competing against yourself. You're only great when you compete against everybody in the world. Everybody else in the world.
I like that line.
And Nahaja, let's change the narrative so we can understand exactly what Trevor is saying, right? What is preventing the Bahamas, and I can put the broad Bahamas because he says everyone else be vested in having a Junkanoo festival? Mind, we have several already, right? We already acknowledged that we're not going to touch Boxing Day. We're not going to touch New Year's Day. Now we're going to work on this festival separate and apart from those two entities, right? We acknowledge that that's what it is. So I'm trying to say, what is preventing a festival being created and exporting it to what Trevor is saying? We're not stopping anybody.
Okay, so
no, you're not stopping. What is it that is
See,
frustrating the system and clogging the system?
You're not stopping anybody, you know, and we accept that. But you have to understand, when you're going to do something on a national level, when you're going to do something to invite persons to your country, you have to have the stamp of approval from your tourism office, which makes it, and most times people think, oh, it has to be money. It not necessarily has to be money. They just have to sign in that this is the event. And all governments in the past, I've been around long enough to see that all governments in the past drop the ball. They fumble because nobody's willing to think outside the box. And like you said, the Junkanoo say this our parade, this is for us. What is for us? Every Junkanoo, you can't show me one person that tell me they take care of their family comfortably because of our culture, Junkanoo. Yes, we might get some jobs here. Yes, and I know Angelique very well. The Commodore, she have a great thing going on. They fly several times a year. But is that enough? Or we just limited ourselves to that, just a few trips? Or we want to be like the rest of the world where you can now demand. Let's talk about the Shansia. Shansia is the young Jamaican young lady who they have to be the next Beyonce. When I first booked her price was in the low thousands. Now to book that young lady 4 years later is $100,000.
Well, what a time.
So this is what I'm talking about. She did not limit herself to stay to the $5,000 and the $10,000. She keep growing. She keep adding hits. She keep making sounds. And so what I'm saying is we have to take our country and we have to take our talent to the world so we can be demanding these kind of numbers. Stop
I hear listening to Trevor and crying.
Don't want to get paid. They need to be paid.
I hear listening to Trevor and crying, actually. I mean, you can't see because of glasses, but my eyes are tearing up. And the reason why my eyes are tearing up because I believe that Junkanoo Parade and Bahamian music is two different things. We have a Calypso Gombe culture. And I know Trevor is a promoter. And I hear him speaking about these foreign acts that he bring in and pay thousands of dollars to. And then I started wondering, I wonder how much the Bahamians get paid. You know?
Okay, but
frustration.
And I can answer
and you can attribute that to value, though.
And I can answer that for you.
They don't value us.
Hold on, T.A. Hold on.
And I can answer that for you, C.A. You
keep going. You let him talk to yourself right now.
You get paid based on your value. And that's what you just said. You don't want the young men to have no value because you want them to wait for free. So how it is now they could be able to sell their costumes if they used to pay them for free? How it is that now the Bahamian artists that worked at every regatta and you could go on Awaki and see them for free, and when you don't see them on Awaki for free, or you go to Exuma and see them on a regatta for free, then you now as a promoter, or you now as a patron, would you come back and go in the hotel to go pay to see them and you just see them on Awaki for free? That's what the problem is. Us Bahamians, we don't support our own. You have a Bahamian concert, and they can tell you how much Bahamian concerts. Every show I've done had a minimum of 4 to 5 Bahamians on the show. Every last show in the last 20 years. First. Secondly, I've done only Bahamian shows already. I've never seen you the one, because if I've seen you the one, I remember your face. But here it is, you telling me how much it is that we pay our Bahamian artists. You like everything else, you get what you pay for. And we need to stop holding the artisans back by allowing them to go in the shack and pay for free. We need to stop holding the Bahamian artists back by allowing them to go on the regattas and performing for free. You have to have some value.
Yes,
what is your value?
Hustle. Hold on, let me ask you this before we run another time. I want to ask this question. How can we, Trevor Davis, Alpha Sound here, do you believe it's possible that we can have Junkanoo this holiday season? We didn't have it last year. And Cecil is right. The Junkanoo ain't interested. Really, they ain't interested. So
well, that is fine. That's fine if they're not interested. That is fine if they only could see in the box right in front of them. I'm a Junkanoo. I would love to go to Junkanoo. As a matter of fact, the event on the weekend, as you can see, there was Junkanoo on stage. There was Kess, the international Kess with over 300,000 followers on was jamming the Junkanoo music. And so there's no part of me saying that I have a hate for Junkanoo. I have a hate for our culture. I just want to see it go to the next level. And any Bahamian artist can also tell you that. I want them to be on the international stage. Any Bahamian artist
how do you see it? Do you think that there's a way for Junkanoo to happen safely?
Yes, I mean, of course. Or get a larger venue and test everybody. But when we start rushing the Haja, we rush with a 3 feet distance between the man in front of you. So there was always, when you learn how to rush, and if you rush properly, you couldn't go rush right up on the person in front of you. You had to be 3 feet behind the person in front of you. So nothing changed. The only reason why they're packed up because they're on Bay Street and no spaces on Bay Street. My humble opinion. Now, if you want to move the bleachers and move the barricades back the way it used to be and have more space, that's fine. But you
then it wouldn't
need more
be
space.
But there wouldn't be any locals at the event. So it would pretty much be a performance, really, then that you're talking about. Something that's filmed.
You don't know. You could have locals at the event. Antigen test takes 15 to 20 minutes. And if you really want to go Junkanoo, like you're saying, you really love the culture, you take your test and go there.
So perhaps in a closed-in space, maybe use the National Stadium and test folks, and then you have an entrance and exit point. What are you thinking?
Yes, exactly. I have the blueprint. yes, exactly. That's what needs to happen. So CA, whenever I would tell the Junkanoos, whenever they're ready to rush, I'm open. I'll sit down and have a conversation with them. But it needs to happen. And not only just happen here locally, it needs to start happening more internationally, more frequently. I applaud Angelique for the work she's doing. And I think there's another Junkanoo group I saw in Atlanta that's been doing a lot of stuff. But there's a lot more that we can do, and there's a lot more that we could achieve.
We got some text messages I want to get to, and then I'll let CA get his word in here. I love the show, Miss Black. Once the music hits you, you feel no pain. Junkanoo is in our blood. Only true Bahamians really miss our Junkanoo. Junkanoo is a business now. We used to rush for fun. Nowadays, you can't come on Bay Street unless you are in uniform. Someone says, what if all the Tiefin turns out to be the civil? So, okay, that was random. Junkanoo is for Bahamians. Let's not forget its purpose, the celebration and freedom and of our chief cultural expression. Summer festivals and minor parades can be participatory and tourist geared, not Christmas or New Year's. Again, Christmas and New Year's is not suggested. That was never suggested. White people is here what they want here. That was never suggested. There is no revenue to be gained off of culture. You spend in excess on that, which is yours. Boss lady, this man is running on with foolishness, and you let them insult CA. Oh, I can't let Trevor. I can't let you insult CA. Okay, whatever you said, take it back. Cause CA is boss. I cannot have that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my boy. I can't let nobody insult my good friend CA. CA, sorry, honey. I missed it. It says, as people in the country, we don't have the discipline to open up and function through protocols in this new COVID world. Oh, if we don't have the discipline to open up and function through protocols in this new COVID world, then we will cease to exist. Guys, thank you so much for the discussion. CA, last thoughts. I got to make sure you get. I ain't gonna let nobody disrespect you, CA. Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, man, we try was good. You don't remember? I was younger when he knew me. When I come to the store to buy one taping thing. But let me quickly say this, right? Ministry of Culture is desperate to have a Junkanoo parade come Christmas. They begging Junkanoos to put something forward. I would love to have that group that Trevor had on his thing the other day contact Ministry of Culture and say we'll rush. You know, don't wait on the major groups because we already say we're participating. Right. So all those other groups who want to change Junkanoo up, this is their opportunity to do all kind of major things. Approach Ministry of Culture and say we will rush on stage because we COVID vaccinated and we plan to do that, and let us have Junkanoo come Christmas. But it's an opportunity there, and I'd say, Trevor, embrace that opportunity, man, and I'll support you.
We gotta go.
I'll pay $25.
I received that.
Well, I still wanted to be free, but you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you next week. We're out.